There's a massive corruption at the DVLA as latest investigation conducted by Corruption Watch shows massive corruption at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. By law, licensed applicants are expected to take a compulsory 48-hour training with a DVLA accredited driving school and also sit for computer-based written exams. The investigation showed that many staff of the licensing authority accept cash and either waive the test or get other people to sit for the test. For the applicants. Here are some excerpts of the report filed by Francisca Enchol.
Process.
325 for the first stage and 150 cedis for driving school slots.
Driving school slots, okay.
That is what we are going to need to get to an exam.
During payment, the investigator was asked to pay the Stage 1 fee first, after which an official receipt was issued. The investigator was then directed to pay another official an additional 150 Ghana cedis for the reference number.
So you need the payment of 150.
No number that I can call, or there's no need. Thank you.
After making both payments, the investigator was handed an official receipt. It had the legitimate cost of the Stage 1 process printed. The 150 Ghana cedis paid for the reference number was handwritten on the same receipt. This investigation found that once the reference number is acquired right inside the premium office, the applicant skips enrolling into a driving school for the 10-day training. However, DVLA staff are able to produce this reference number and attendance record for a driving school he or she never attended. According to Mr. Kafui Semevo, Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at DVLA, the reference number or driving school code is not supposed to be sold at DVLA or by DVLA officials.
So what you are calling the driving code is the application fee the person will be paying. But you are paying that fee to the driving school, not DVLA.
That number, you're not supposed to pay for it at DVLA?
No, because that is your registration number at the driving school, and you can only pay for registration to the driving school, not DVLA, because DVLA is not providing you that training. So DVLA is not even a user of the system, so I will be surprised to know, and I will even be interested to pursue that particular, if there is any evidence to that effect. Yeah.
Apart from the sale of the reference number at DVLA, some driving schools were also involved in outwitting the system to get applicants' licenses at DVLA without meeting the requirements. Corruption Watch's investigator visited the State Transport Company Driving School, the respected state-owned driving school, in pursuit of the driving school requirement of the DVLA.
And they said we should go to a driving school for driving school code. So, what's another
please, you don't have around. Is it license taken out there?
After disclosing the purpose of the visit to the receptionist, she called an instructor on the phone and referred the investigator to him. Sharing the telephone number of the instructor, the receptionist advised the investigator to inform him she wanted an express service, which she said would attract more charges.
I think that one comes with an extra cost.
Investigator called the instructor as advised and made an offer of 1,300 Ghana cedis to get her the license in a week without getting through any of the required tests. The instructor also explained what the receptionist meant by express service.
Your friends, your license, nearly 1 week, but the 1,003. Okay, now 1 month, 1,001. Yes. Yeah, you've been a normal one, 800. And you know, you just also sort of officers in it, like won't pass it through that stress much. It is one touch.
And to say exams no, make 1,003 now. Exams no mean true.
No exams, nothing. You will not do just. We just need your biometrics and your information in the data. That's all. Then we just give you, and you get the card itself. You get the driver's license card.
The instructor set a date to meet the investigator to start the process. And this meeting happened at the STC driving school where he explicitly made his offer.
That's all. Do you need an advance?
Because or in time, I can't. And it's irreversible. No, the same was what there's a one discount. And yes, what we did, but it's work on time and it's not say, oh, and I'm going
to know some over Sancho.
Never could do any way we not say much was about one That's
all.
The instructor then took the investigator to the 37 office where he received payment for the illicit deal and took the investigator through the capturing process. 1 week later, the investigator received the license as promised. When the managing director of Intercity STC Coaches Limited, Nana Akumia, was confronted with the actions of a member of his staff, he described the offer as unlawful and outlined the official process.
I must commend your outfit Corruption Watch for the work that you have done. It is through such undercover investigative work that the system can be corrected and improved. And I'm very happy that you came here and did this work. It will allow us to put corrective measures. And I've seen the evidence that you have. The union leader was here, the head of technical was here. We've seen the evidence, and we're very happy about it. So we would commence disciplinary proceedings against the individuals at the driving school that you identified. And I expect that a maximum penalty will apply.
A 28-year-old mobile money vendor, Brother Michael, is receiving medical treatment at the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital after 2 armed robbers on motorbike shot him in front of a public place of convenience at Gomwa Budumburam in the central region. The incident happened around 5 a.m. Friday. 2 armed robbers shot a 28-year-old mobile money vendor. A public toilet operator was also robbed. In an interview with JoyNews, the toilet operator at Budumburam Zone 11 explained how the robbers attacked them minutes after his brother came there to ease himself.
Bring the money. No, I'm sure I say why? No, me misconduct. Me no to bring them first. As I'm going to never go. I'm going to. I hope you don't blame Mike on the net. To me, it's kind of more. Me is kind of 2 more. No, I don't. Me pay them Johnny. To me, do I am a tipo. Oh, I got any more. I say, I'm going to much motor boxer motor. Cause I'm okay. Bring the money. Cause I'm okay. Someone in the press one, I'm best got any more. I see. So they almost shooting rain. I'm bad. I'm going to be home. So I'm going to say, let me home. I'm going to watch him back. That was a check. I'm going to but someone said I am to pee. But man said I show me. Bring the money.
The chief of Gomwa Budumburam, Nana Kojesel, also spoke to Dome News.
This is one may ask there. A middle of the book, no catch and non chong. No asset committee. Committee, no made that. Up to this time, walk, police, wobble. I think the Abba Median, she says it mean there. This is the Peruvian and the Pabasana and Yaminaway. This is more Koruhan. Namanam Kubiasa, Ubisa maybe a more Mifia. Nam a chepe. No man will play to put one day a grandia, or something within Abercroon. And to Master Abang, Medrizi. So I am who that on mine obey demonstration. Not so far, Mamma country. A small way. This is Odashe, Minister of Interior. There on when a woman, Otanamon, wager, honor Yakobia. Or showing now only Minister of Interior. And this or showing now no asset container still up to date, up to now. When you're free, I will hold that. No, yes, committee for now was set to one. By the PB, a man was the
The K9 unit of the Ghana Police Service has deployed its officers with their dogs onto the streets to ensure the security and safety of commuters. This forms part of their grand security strategy for this festive season and beyond. This new way of policing in the country is aimed at increasing the visibility of personnel, improving intelligence gathering, tracking of contraband goods, and improving upon other aspects of criminal investigations. Does the strategy in the long term work for our jurisdiction? Criminologist Dr. Jones Opokowari is hopeful the initiative will help in the fight against crime. I'm speaking to him on News Desk.
If you go to many of these advanced countries, having K9 departments or units within their police service is proving to be one of the most strategic and important, strategies in terms of fighting crime. So for me, once it is something that has worked in other places, and looking at the further crimes keeps on changing and evolving over the period, and the kind of crimes that we are having now, it is very important that we have this kind of unit that operates within the police service that will help us fight crime. Because you see, the way the nature of crimes are, if you look at the patterns of crime that we observed, for instance, last year, most of these violent crimes, especially violent robberies, as we had them happen on the streets. And so you see that if we had this kind of unit at the time that were patrolling within the streets, they could have been able to pursue most of these criminals that we had, that were operating over the period. So, going into the future, it is one of the key strategies that I think should be able to help us combat crimes, especially robberies that happens within our communities and also on the streets.
Now, some months ago on PM Express with Evans Mensah, you said Ghana has not done well in terms of solving crimes. Will this K9 unit make a difference?
Well, it can actually help in arrest. And as I said the other time, I don't judge the success of the criminal justice, system with only arrest. I judge the success based on conviction rate. So in terms of the arrest rate, it could help, because what happens is that these canines are able to assess certain places that ordinary, human beings might not be able to pursue, and even the security agencies might not be able to go. They are able to pursue at a certain kind of speed that, cars may not even be able to go, and also, human beings may not be able to do. So these kind of, animals, or let's say canines, are very important because they can help us to be able to pursue criminals and arrest them. If you compare the arrest rate to what, human beings can achieve, it is much better to use the canines, for the kind of crimes that we are having this time. So going into the future, as I said, I'm thinking that this strategy should be able to help, especially in improving the arrest of criminals, especially those criminals that operate within our communities and also on the streets, than using the human effort. So it's something that I think should be commended.
Dogs also get it wrong.
Yes, dogs also get it wrong. That is why, all over the world where these units are used, or where we have these units, they develop certain processes, they develop certain policies that regulate the use of the canines, And I think that going into the future, I may want to find out from the police whether there exists any kind of, policy regarding the operationalization of that unit, who the handlers are, what we are supposed to be using the dogs for. Because, for instance, what we are seeing since, this festive season, what is happening is that we have the dogs on the streets. We don't know which operational, tasks they are supposed to engage in.
Yeah.
Are they doing it for there's contraband, are there tip-off? You know, we don't really know. So most of the time, it is very key that we have these kind of strategies and policies that are spelled out for accountability purposes, so that we are able to know that, look, when this does come out at this time, basically, you know, this is what they are supposed to do. And then when something goes wrong, it is always important that we're able to subject the police and their handlers, you know, of these dogs to account.
Doc, before I let you go, what is your assessment of crime generally this year?
Well, I think generally this year you could see a pattern drop, you know, in terms of the kind of crimes that we recorded last year. Last year, if you were very observant, right from the second quarter of 2021, we recorded a lot of violent crimes within the country, and interestingly, these crimes were spread all over the country. We had a lot of highway robberies, we had a lot of street robberies in Ashanti region, in the north, and also in Greater Accra. However, if I compare the patterns as we've seen this year, there seems to be a drop in the kind of violent crimes that we recorded, especially on the street. And I want to give it to the police for the kind of strategies that they put in place to be able to combat, you know, and to contain these kind of crimes. I mean, I must admit that we may not be able to uproot crimes such as robbery completely from the society, but, you know, once the police are proactive and they are able to, you know, stay a little bit ahead of the criminals, we can always devise certain, you know, strategies to contain them and to reduce the patterns that we have there. Because once there is that kind of violent attacks on the street, it creates a certain impression that the country or the society is not safe. Yeah. And that can create a lot of anxiety and apprehension for the citizens. So this year, I mean, going into 2023, I'm hoping that the police will continue with the strategies and probably, you know, improve on what they've done for the year that has caused that kind of decline in what we've seen over the period.
Well, going into the new year, is there anything else you'd like the Ghana Police Service to work on?
Yes, I think the police service must do more of community engagement, and I like Dr. Adam Parry for his approach. And I was watching what he was saying, that because I remember, you know, saying some time ago that we must be able to, you know, police the country in such a way that doesn't become like a strongman approach, but one that is institutionalized. And I'm happy that he recognizes the need that a time will come that his name must be replaced with what the institution is rather doing than what he as an individual is doing. So I'm thinking that once he continues with his community engagement approach, which for me is yielding a lot of positives, especially at the community level and also within the streets, it should help us to be able to contain any you know, crimes that may arise. So I encourage them to continue, do more of community engagement. The citizens must also, you know, give out more information to the police. They must be more observant within their communities and then report suspected individuals that seem to be patrolling within our communities with suspicious characters.
The minority in Parliament say they will file a criminal complaint to the police to look into the theft that has taken place at the site of the abandoned Saglemi project. During a site visit in November with journalists, it became clear that most fittings from doors to electrical items have all been stolen due to the lax security around the project. Deputy Ranking Member on the Works and Housing Committee, Andrew Dare, tells JoyNews that the police must go to the bottom of the case and bring to book the perpetrators.
We intend to report this matter to the police.
Oh, yes. Police?
Yes.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yes. I was supposed to. I was supposed to go there.
Why are you involving the police? Is this why? Is that
you saw the thievery there?
Yeah. So the police should go and look for the thieves who have stolen them.
And look, our intention is to even get the speaker. Look, that project must be investigated. Whoever.
But the government is already investigating members of your party, including a colleague in Parliament, who they are accused of, I mean, changing the terms, I mean, doing things illegally.
How long does it have to take President Akufo-Addo, who is a lawyer, to investigate a former minister?
So what government is doing that? You want to do another investigation into what exactly?
We are going to investigate into how people got access to the buildings and stole all the things. That is what we are going to investigate into. Whoever that superintendent the thievery, that person must be brought to book. It was a duty of someone to watch over the project. That person probably failed, or that person intentionally organized people to go and pick out whatever. Quality doors imported, glasses imported, very quality items. You saw the fittings. Probably a planting to devalue the project. so that they can sell it at a very low distance to their client. You see, you keep talking about a private person. You go into this project, you get to know that it's a party member, it's a family member, or it's a friend to a family member.
The Swallow-Tuna Kalba MP also expressed shock that the entire 2023 budget passed by Parliament did not have even a CD allocated to the project.
I was expecting to see something on the Saglemi housing project because the 2022 budget, there's a whole paragraph that talked about the Saglemi housing project, and even the minister indicating they were going to collaborate with the finance ministry to ensure that they got better options to complete the project. The project, as it stands now, we have about 1,506 housing units that are at various stages. And so I was expecting that this 2023 budget would have at least brought in certain something that would seal it. But you see, when I raised the issue, I was very clear that maybe because they have decided they will sell out the project, that is why they didn't capture it in their budget.
Government doesn't have money.
Yes, but if government doesn't have money, at least they should have a plan. We are not saying you should provide the money today, but you don't report on the project in 2022 budget, then 2023, you don't say anything at all. Then indicate in the budget that you have abandoned the plan of completing the project, and so you intend to sell it.
Meanwhile, in other matters, the legislator insists the NDC did right by rejecting the 80 million cedis allocated to the National Cathedral project. The trustees of the project only yesterday said the construction will go ahead, insisting the opposition do not understand the concept of the construction. But Andrew Dari says no more state funds will be allowed to be used to construct the controversial project. Let's do other stories. Supreme Court Justice Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu says the youth of today must abandon talks of military intervention as a solution to current economic crises. She insists that the nation's constitutional dispensation offers better hope of respect for human rights and avenues for seeking redress, which were basically non-existent during the military era. She's been speaking exclusively to JoyNews' Mamavi Osu Abaje.
If you know a path that somebody trod and the result they got, when you are considering alternatives, you might not consider it. But if you think it is an answer, we thought so once, that people who had bought some things to sell at a certain price would automatically reduce it and sell it to us and make a loss. That doesn't happen in commerce. You see, what happened with the controlled price system was that people then had to take chits to go and get allocations. Did they use the allocations for themselves? No. They turned around and sold at 10 times the price. And it's human behavior. We should never think that Ghanaians are different from other people. We are not. So we will respond the same way that other people respond in scarcity. The people who can fashion alternatives surely must know where we've been before, what we've tried before, and see what is possible.
Right.
But if you sit in your home and determine that somebody ought to be forced to sell the thing at a certain price, you are going to have to do it so forcibly, aren't you? You are going to have to seize the goods and sell and whip people and get long queues when you have only 10 things to sell, and get people who themselves are trading on the black market to then enforce these queues. We've been there. We've been there, my goodness. If there's hell on earth, we've been there.
The professor of law has been also giving advice to young people who want to become lawyers.
Focus on what you're doing. Give it your best. After all, in all the promises we make, the one promise we can keep is that we'll do our best. You will not always be right. but it's important that you do your best. And whatever your hands find to do, do it to the best of your ability. And I'm sure that in time, the benefits will show. I can't tell you that I set out to achieve this and do that, and just on a case-by-case basis, do your best.
Right.
Don't be sidetracked by too many things. I tell my students who work, when they first take on the law, I said, the law is jealous. It will not share you with too many things. So be careful the number of things you take on. Some people want to be lawyers and want to be pastors, and how can you do both well? You can't mix God and mammon. You can't do both well because each one requires you to go the extra mile. So be careful the things you take on.
You're still watching Joy News today with me, Mapitso Sebidi. We're going to take a quick breather. We'll be back after this. You're welcome back. Ever imagined living for a whole week without electricity? Well, the people of Debi, which literally means one day, have been without electricity for decades. However, through the efforts of stakeholders, the story of the rural dwellers has changed. The community has now reconnected to the national electricity grid. This forms part of the Bando Municipal Assembly's initiative to promote economic development and enhance livelihoods. There's more in this report by Fred Kwame Asari.
Fosu Samefa set out on a daily routine purchasing fish from boats that dock at the London site of Debi in the Bando municipality. Debi, which inhabits over 400 residents, is an isolated settler community where the local economy survives on fishing and farming. The community was not connected to the national electricity grid. This has affected the productivity of Samefa and her colleagues as they have to improvise with torchlights while working at night.
Buying light solar. Na ezadwari memi awala na mi kotosh. Akode mi fo komo kafi akono na po kafi ano. Kafi ano etom. Kafi akowo do because maybe karoma kula tosh ele konkole no poko galasi o. Alo ele no wo ku echi. This has
also affected the education of the young ones in the community as they are able to study in the evening. Nonetheless, in 2019, the government contracted Demsak Engineering Works Limited to extend the national electricity grid to Debi, Kujra and Navega. After 3 years of work, delays and several follow-ups by stakeholders, the Debi community was finally provided with electricity to the excitement of the residents.
So today being 24th, they are seeing for their first time a light in this community.
The Bando Municipal Chief Executive, Joffrey Badasu, presented 7 street lights to brighten the community while the residents wait for their homes to be connected.
The immediate benefit to this community is that some of them can now start some activities on their own, like selling of frozen foods, selling of ice water. Previously, they would walk about 3-4 kilometers to the nearest community before they were able to charge their phones, which was a problem to them. So I think that is how come they are so excited about what they have seen today.
The Bando Member of Parliament, De La Soa, also presented 4 street lights to the community.
Be metina betala ni wa koko le fi nwede kake mota la mekale wo tama didio me no ya che fami adoji kokoko emo avafi
Due to the availability of electricity, Semefa and her colleagues would be able to process their fish at night with less stress.
Because we come and we want to get here. You may let us in your quack, but I got glee quality. No more glee corner, and you laugh when you get a hand on your van. Kaka the way of you don't have him with Tanakumala walker. That can't know what any share in my brown blue, and you know, another KV New G war of Wutuma.
As the new dawn begins in the DVLA community, it is the expectation of stakeholders that livelihoods would be improved in the coming years. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews, DVLA.
Vice President Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia describes the current MPP government as the best in Ghana's Fourth Republic. According to him, the projects and policies instituted by the Kufuor-led government are unmatched in the history of the country. This is coming at a time that the country is in talks with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for a $3 billion bailout. He was speaking at the party's Thanksgiving service held at its headquarters in Accra. There's more in this report.
Members of the New Patriotic Party gather for their Thanksgiving service at its headquarters. Members of the party dance to songs performed by renowned musicians.
Indicating and san wafia konwano so emfa ho se ne yatibia onyame ankasa ebetane noma ma ayeye.
For them, 2022 has been a turbulent year, and it will take prayer and supplication to turn things around.
We ask peace to prevail in our nation, even in the name of Jesus.
Leadership of the party says it is optimistic that economic conditions will improve in 2023. Here is General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kudia.
Oko Psalm 91 verse 7 now. Or 6,000 shall fall at our side, and 10,000 at our right hand side, but no harm shall come near us. I fear Baba Simo upon some she say nyina empire. Yes, say na me say 2023 enye nshirafe ema MPP. Yes, say na me say 2023 sidina na hoodina pagya no empagya nko biem. Yes, say Yakopon say ene Dr. Pinshit wa ha economic messiah wa ha no 2023 yesi kasem ne begyina ye.
Meanwhile, the party has set aside the last Wednesday of every month as a day of prayers where all members, particularly women, are expected to pray for the party.
The last Wednesday of every month, as a party, no, you be too sad and siho near Bompaye near the Adanyamiasi. Yes, she infinu ye the better nasikeke.
Addressing the audience, Vice President Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia said the MPP will go down as the best government in the Fourth Republic.
We have created more jobs than any other government in the history of the Fourth Republic. More jobs, teachers, nurses, security forces, civil service, the private sector. We have created more jobs than any other government in the Fourth Republic. And we have to thank God for that. There's more to do, no doubt. But our record puts us as number one of any government in the Fourth Republic as far as job creation is concerned. We have built more roads than any other government in the Fourth Republic. We have built more classrooms than any other government in the Fourth Republic. In the education sector, national ideas. And in the last 6 years, we are thankful to God for the ideas that this government has been able to implement. One constituency, one ambulance. One district, one factory. One village, one dam. Zongo Development Fund. The planting for food and jobs. zipline drones, which are delivering medicine all across the country. We've implemented the Ghana card. 17 million people have been enrolled.
Although the country is faced with many challenges, Dr. Baumia believes the MPP is best placed to resolve every one of them.
These are all ideas that this country is benefiting from. And these are ideas that did not exist before. And we have God Almighty to thank. This doesn't mean our challenges are over. No. The challenges will always be there. And when we face the challenges, I believe the MPP government is the best government to deal with the challenges that we are facing. There's no doubt about it.
In 2023, the party will elect a flag bearer who will lead it into the 2024 general elections. For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
Blessed is the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall find mercy. These blessings and 6 others were pronounced by Jesus Christ on the multitude who had gathered on the Mount of Beatitude to listen to his sermon on a hill, which later derives fame from those blessings. In our latest Holy Land series, Emefa Atiamo Eli takes us to the Mount of Beatitude.
Not too far from Peter's primacy is the Mount of Beatitude. The Mount of Beatitude is one of the no-miss tourist sites in the Holy Land of Israel. Hundreds troop to the site all year round to experience the atmosphere and to be in a place Jesus Christ of Nazareth has ever been. Just like a number of these holy sites, a magnificent temple is sitting over the very spots believed to be the exact place where Jesus sat to pronounce the 8 blessings on the multitude who had gathered to listen to him preach.
He opened his hands like he wants to hug all the people, and he made this speech, the Sermon of the Mountain. And in this ceremony, he says that the people are doing this, they will be blessed. Blessed are the people who are doing that. Blessed are the people who are doing this.
A visit to the Mount of Beatitude will definitely be incomplete for a pilgrim without a quiet moment of prayer or meditation around the holy site. The imposing architecture does an excellent explanation to the historic account of Jesus at the place, and thus would not need any tour guide's explanation for visitors' appreciation. The next time you visit Israel, you might want to make time and spend some moments at the Mount of Beatitude, Peter's primacy, Lake Galilee, and the Mount of Carmel. It will certainly bring to life your experience with the Bible. Shalom and peace to you from the Holy Land of Israel. My name is Emefa Atiamo Eli for JoyNews.
You're still watching JoyNews today. Up next is business.
Afternoon, welcome to business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Real Estate Developers Association has called on government to be proactive and develop policies to ensure an affordable housing system. Speaking to Joy Business, Executive Secretary Samuel Amegayabo said the failure of successive governments to implement tailored policies on housing has left real estate developers with no option but to acquire expensive loans and deal with complicated land systems. This, he says, has made the cost of housing expensive.
There are solutions, and the solutions currently are in silos, lying on certain desks. We have the Building and Road Research Institute, which for me, because I'm on the management board, I'm very much aware of a lot of things that they have done in the past, but they have been ignored and completely forgotten. They cannot continue to spend money in putting into researches which are not being used. So we need to get back to them, which the current minister I know has engaged them. But sometimes it ends there. You engage them, they talk, and that's the end. We need to move beyond the talking. That's why I explained in the room that we are talking too much and acting less. But there's a lot of solutions within that if we bring all of them to the table and everybody's commitment is assured, a lot of things will change, especially from government. I think somebody made that statement there. There's no way we can do any affordable housing in the country without the support of government. You can do and you get to a point, but to really, really achieve affordability, you need government. Policy direction and some capital injection and certain considerations, things about land, even how to access cheaper funding. The way government comes at the end of the year to read budget and allocate certain amount of money, we may have to allocate certain money to the housing sector. You understand? If we don't commit ourselves to some of these things, the talking will continue and will achieve nothing. That is my problem. Clear. I mean, they themselves are aware that they are not doing enough. It's just that we have sat down successively, not this government alone, in succession. We have sat down and have allowed this thing to overwhelm us. And we have gotten to a point where we are hitting crisis.
Right, next to the Ashanti region, where some residents of Kumasi say Ghana is going through current economic crisis due to institutional embezzlement and uncompleted government projects. They are, however, entreating the government to remedy the situation by cutting expenditure, instituting a common pricing system for traders, and sustaining fuel prices. Love FM's Clinton Yabua has more in the following report.
The 2022 political and economic year has been challenging from all angles, with inflation rising as high as 50%. The transportation industry reeled under exorbitant fuel costs. Illegal mining became topical as the activity continued to wreak havoc.
2022 has been an interesting year with ranges of issues affecting the very lives of the ordinary Ghanaian. We took to the streets of Kumasi in a review of the year from the perspective of the ordinary Ghanaian.
Some believe the year has been a tough one, citing high taxes, which they say are crippling their businesses under a very high cost of living.
Here under review, the America say, "Afi nyoma mu yedi. Akwanya nyoma sika nyunu no. Enye dia sika nke betimi dia ye. Adwuma be se 10 no. Ne de adwuma baako. Adwuma baako so ne ye be ya. Ye ko ho ayenwie da. Mo nwene o man no ma politicians o mo nwene ma. Na galamse no so de ko mekro mu a ofe. O ma sensuo no kura a wo ye ho hwe a enye yi. Ti ye besere. Se ye nyina ye moa. Ye nyina ye vigilant.
2022 has been a difficult year because me and Joe 3 meals a day square no, I can't take it. Basic pay. The last year was 4%, this year 7%. It was not enough for us. The taxes is too much. See, taxes on goods, even we those who collect salary, the taxes on it is very, very huge. So all these things have to come down. I think all this, if these things come down, it will help us.
He live in a show. He live in a show. Because I did which is fairly a mention. So, and to say, which is say, well, but the church to be live in when and that's not about whom chat I didn't. So if we say, but you live in India, and okay, say, oh, I am for what's our cause that you live. You live in, I don't know, send down here to me. So, send here, we not free. So, 2 years, yeah, I say, Jai, so Jai.
Beginning idea na ebeka say normal na eko yie kakra na eduru ba bi no na say niema san kakra yenkoti a dollar obi ase dollar but yenim say Ghana aso cedi ni yedi ntina dollar no na yenti ase yie 2023 a yɛkɔsimi nneɛma bi wɔ hɔ a mpanyinfoɔ no ɔmo bɛn nkura no ɔmo bɛhwɛ na ɔmo aka ho asɛm sɛ ɔmo de ɔmo nan bɛsi fam no.
Reporting for JoyNews, Clinton. Yeah.
All right, and that's it for business. We have special programming at the top of the hour, the Year in Review Business Edition. Don't miss it. Back to Maps with World News.
And that's how we end Joy News today. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Mapitso Sebidi.